I recently spent some time in the water by Grand Isle, Louisiana. I was not out for long, but by the time I got back to shore, I was surprised to find that I was really lightheaded and kind of nauseated from the fumes of being out on the water without much oil in it. Here's why I went out there amid all that oil, and here's what I saw.
The smell out here is so strong right now.
I'd only dirty one of them.
I don't know anything about toxicity levels and air quality and this kind of stuff, but if I were in a place on land where it smelled this strong, my instinct would be to get away and get to fresh air. When you're out on this much open water and this isn't fresh air, it's claustrophobic and scary. We're in Barataria Pass. Right there is Fort Livingston. That marks essentially the start of the Gulf. That's where we got to the Gulf, and right now you can see we're in a mess of oil. All of these little globs, these little dark brown globs, smaller than the globs that we saw yesterday, but much more widespread. These aren't individual pieces. We're in a whole lot of sheen and in an area where the oil is just coagulating a lot of different pieces of it. There's a lot of action out here right now. You can see some of that heavy-duty Coast Guard boom out behind us. That's the boom that inspires more confidence than the other boom that we've seen. You see some efforts where there are teams out here trying to contain oil on the surface and have somebody come pump it up, but it's a mess right here where we are. The one thing that we can't confer to you out here, because you can thank your cable company, we don't have smell-o-vision yet, but it smells like a gas station on a very, very bad day. I have a story to tell you about Queen Bess Island. Queen Bess Island is a barrier island. Louisiana over the past century has lost about 40% of its barrier islands. When I say lost, I mean they became open water. They sunk into the Gulf. They sunk into the sea. And the reason that happened, mostly it's man-made. It's decisions that we made about oil and gas production. It's decisions that we made about shipping, levees, canals. And Queen Bess Island, by the 1980s, parts of it were sinking up to a foot over the course of a decade. Queen Bess Island in the 1950s had been 45 acres. It had shrunk down to 17 acres by 1989. And about that time, people started to freak out. And the reason people started to freak out is because Queen Bess Island is where the brown pelicans were being born. Brown pelican is a state bird of Louisiana. Louisiana had the, what's the opposite of honor? In the 1960s of having its state bird essentially go extinct in this state. And they were trying to bring it back. And Queen Bess Island is where the brown pelicans were finally nesting again and raising their young. And so in 1989, when it became clear that water was overwashing Queen Bess Island, that this island might go away when it's sinking a foot per decade, when all the vegetation on the island is going away and therefore making it erode more because the water was just washing over it, everybody freaked out. And thanks to the Coastal Wetlands Planning, Protection, and Restoration Act, that brought on a full-scale effort to save Queen Bess Island. They built a dike out of seashells that went right off the side of the island in order to try to keep it from shrinking. They built up on what used to be the natural ridge lines of the island. They piled up earth there and planted it so that the island would have more of a foothold. They dumped a huge amount of dredged material from this bay onto this island to try to save it. It was really a full court press. And you know what? Pelicans came back. And pelicans have been nesting here. This rookery supports hundreds of pairs of pelicans, and the brown pelican is back. It's no longer extinct. And this island is a big reason why, and it took a lot of effort to get it to be saved. They put 30,000 tons of rock all around the perimeter of this island to try to save it, and thereby to save Louisiana state bird. Queen Bess Island has been a great success story, and here's Queen Bess Island now. I know this seems like I'm being really grim, but being out here, this is really grim. You can see all the pelicans on the island. You can see them doing their best with the boom out here, but what we're floating through here is a gas station with globs of oil and the sheen all over it, and see the pelicans trying to clean themselves up. You know, when the pelicans clean themselves up, they're ingesting that oil, and so as soon as you see them ingesting that oil, it doesn't matter how well it works to try to clean themselves, they're dead from eating the oil.